Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talk of the Town. You know who I am. My name is Karen Bukes, and I thank you so much for tuning in. Right now, I would like to give a shout out to Mildred. Thanks so much, Mildred, for calling last week. It was very much appreciated, and I hope you're feeling better. I have a few public announcements tonight before we start. They're important for you to know. First, the Network of Friends of Open Space is inviting you to attend the Plymouth Park Watch Report Rollout. Now, I know that's a tongueful, but the Plymouth Park Watch Report Rollout. This will be held at Jenny Pond Park, Jenny Gristmill, on Saturday, July 18th, and the time is 2 p.m. The Network of Friends of Open Space has been instrumental in bringing this program to Plymouth. Find out how you can become the eyes and ears for the town's natural resource wardens. You can help with a new app that they've just put out for your cell phone, and it has been designed for that purpose, to be the eyes and ears for our natural resource wardens. This is so timely given the fact what is going on in certain pond areas in the town. So that will be Saturday, July 18th at Jenny Gristmill Pond Park, 2 p.m. And I'm not sure if they're giving out the app or what they're doing, but it's a wonderful, wonderful program. David Gould spoke about it last night at the Selectmen's meeting, and I'm going to get one, and I know Ken is too. Now, something else for you to know. The Jeep raffle. Now, I'm not sure you can see this. We're short-staffed, so we can't do a close-up, but it's a wonderful thing for the Manomet Youth Center. Win this Jeep, and the drawing will be Saturday, September 19th. Now, bear with me. Thanks to Scott Schulman, owner of the Plymouth's newest car dealership, Best Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, the Friends of the Manomet Youth Center will host a family fun day at Colony Place on September 19th. And that's when they're going to be drawing for the Jeep. Only 2,000 tickets will be sold at $50 each. Monies raised will help the Manomet Youth Center, and it'll raise money for the HVAC system that is so badly needed. They have an aggressive grassroots campaign ongoing right now, and they're asking individuals and businessmen to take some tickets, 10, 20 tickets, bring them to your business, sell them. But the best thing is that the person or the business that sells the most tickets can get $200, $300, or $500 for selling the most tickets. And in order for them to reach their goal of selling 2,000 tickets by September 19th, that's the friendly competition. They're going to solicit businessmen and individuals to do this. My two guests did take tickets. Now, I think that's wonderful. I didn't invite them here for that because I was just given this a couple of days ago, and they knew they were coming on for a long time. Now, a number is up on the board. That is a number for you to call if you want tickets, if you want to sell tickets, if you want one ticket, you want 10, you want 100 tickets. It doesn't matter if you want to sell them. A little friendly competition for a great cause. And this Jeep, it's a fabulous Jeep. It's a Patriot Latitude, it's called. Boy, could we really use one, right? And it's for a great cause. They'll be saying this again next week, but please do your part. We're all in this together. Now, here's a few of our underwriters. I'm going to read both of them. Brewster PC Solutions with Wrestling Brewster, and underwriters David and Kevin Gallerani, owners of Cape Auto Body and Service. Locations are Samoset and Sandwich Street. Great service, great people. Tonight we have something very special. I've been looking forward to this. One guest has been on the show a number of times and always has something very interesting to say, and always works so hard to bring good things to Plymouth. I fondly call him the mayor of Manomet. My other guest is quite unpretentious, and yet he is so adorable. He goes about his business without trumpet and helps his town in many different ways. I admire and respect these two guys very much. Both are here tonight to talk about Manomet, and we even have photos. Please welcome, from the beautiful seaside village of Manomet, Randy Parker and Frank Collins. Can you believe it?
Thanks, Karen.
You're welcome.
So which one of us is unpretentious?
Right here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm not saying you are pretentious, Randy.
Well, no, I would accept notorious. That's all right. Thanks, Karen.
But tonight we have recollections of Manomet, and later on this year, we're going to have Peter Geller on. And maybe we can get Randy, and I know Frank will come on with Peter. Maybe Randy can come back at the same time and with more photos. And I tell you, I saw a couple of them. Oh, my goodness. I can't believe these photos. They go back. How far back, Frank? You've got,
125 years.
125 years. Now, you only gave us for tonight, how many, 30, 40?
Yep.
I understand you have 2,000 or so.
I have a lot of photographs.
And I can't wait to get Peter Geller on here. And Randy, do you have any? Do you have any photos like that?
Nothing that you're not going to find in Frank's archives. Oh. When I first approached these gentlemen, Frank and Peter, about doing a show for the for Recollections of Manomet.
Yeah.
Peter's reaction was, "Well, you're not going to do that in an hour."
Yeah.
So you might end up with a small series here, because I just think that it's so important to get memories from people like Frank and Peter that have been here for a long time and even have memories.
Well, Peter's much older.
Yes, yeah, I've heard that. No.
But in a digital age where these old postcards can be preserved and displayed and enjoyed and explained and even figured out, because I look at some of these postcards and I know where I'm looking, but I'm not so sure what I'm looking at anymore because things have changed so much. So it really is with great pleasure that I see Frank sitting here and willing to do this for the village and for the town in perpetuity.
Kenny and I are honored, and Dave Gallerani had also said that he might look through some of his photos. I'd like to do every village, but that takes time to put together. But I have before we start, Randy, were you born here? You were born here.
Oh, heavens, no. I was born in New Bern, North Carolina.
Oh, well.
I've been here since 1972.
Just a couple of years before Kenny and I.
I am not nearly a native.
Okay.
I got here in time to drive your kids to school. That's
true.
What I came here for.
I remember. But Frank, which house were you born in?
I wasn't born here either.
You weren't.
Imagine that.
No, I came from Marlboro and first came here in 1944 when I was 5 years old. My father was in the service, and my grandfather rented a cottage on Avenue C down on White Horse Beach. I came here, and I absolutely loved it here and was determined to live here if I could ever make a living.
If you could ever make a living. For people that don't know, Frank and his family, they have the Lobster Pound on Point Road, and it's the best place around. And you've You've done very well, Frank, and but you're also a town meeting member, as you are,
Yep.
Randy. So they help out in many different ways. But all the kids were born here.
Yep, all of my kids and 2 of my 4 grandchildren were born here.
Sure.
So we've made natives, and we can't get them to go anywhere.
No.
Nor would we want them to.
No, and I adore Megan. I adore her, and she's a good girl. You know, she does very well as chair of Precinct 6, and she's just a good person. She has her father's common sense. And your children, Randy, they're here.
They are.
Yeah, and your Ida Mae and your boys.
Paul, Benjamin, and
Yeah,
Abel.
yeah. Mary Ellen works very hard with you
She does.
at the land management.
And she drives a Judco bus, and she
Yeah.
enjoys that. And
So we're all very Manomet people, Plymouth people. We love it. When Kenny and I go away, I can't be away long. I miss it. I just, I could never live inland. Could you live inland?
Anywhere I go in the world, I always travel to the ocean.
To the ocean. It's medicinal, you know. But let's start with a few of these photos.
all right.
And Frank has many, many more. And we're going to do another show in the fall, maybe. We'll get them together and show you some more. May we have some photos, dear? Okay, the first one's coming up.
That's a picture of the new Manomet Coast Guard station. Everybody refers to it as a Coast Guard station, but when it opened, it was part of the United States Life-Saving Service, which didn't convert to the Coast Guard until 1926 or 1927. This was built, I think they started in 1899, and this was the grand opening, and that was April 1st of 1901. And that was, in the photograph, it's George Holmes with his grandson. That he was a surfman in the station, and he, in 1904 and 1905, he became the captain of the station, and he retired from the station after an injury in probably 1908 or 1910.
And where is that, Frank, exactly? Do you know?
Put Burns' house is on the Coast Guard lot. And this is, as I say, this is the second Coast Guard station, a life-saving service station. The first one is still in existence, and it's on, I think it's Hillside Avenue, runs up to where the old hotel was in Manomet. And it's the second house on the left-hand side was the original, it's an 1874 T-type life-saving service station.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful construction.
They were both, I'm more fascinated with the older one, the 1874 T-type station. That you'll see that a little further along here. But the architecture of all of them was interesting, and
that was on Point Road.
it was at the end of Point Road on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, may we have the second one, Kenny? Oh my goodness.
This is the same George Holmes, and there's a few photographs of him. He used to take a dory out, row a dory out towards the Marianne Rocks and go cod fishing. And in this picture, he's got 2 codfish that are probably
Huge.
25 or 30 pounds apiece, and he's standing there and having this picture taken. This is in the late 1800s, probably 1898 or 1899.
Wow.
They don't make codfish like that anymore, do
Now,
they?
was Holmes Field named after him?
I have no idea. There's so many Holmeses in Plymouth that I have no idea
Yeah.
what was named after which Holmes.
Okay. Bait, boats, and tackle.
Yeah, that's the dock in Plymouth, probably in the early 50s. That Plymouth used to have quite a fishing fleet. I owned a dragger that fished out of Plymouth in the early 60s. This is a little earlier than that, but there used to be 10 or 15 boats that fish out of Plymouth, and both Reliable Fish and Al Souza bought fish from the boats, and both of them used to run trucks into New York to the Fulton Fish Market. So
Wow.
back then, a lot of the fish that we caught was sold in New York.
Now, just a little pause here. Randy, you fish. You have your little Daisy May. What is the boat called?
Tinkerbell.
Tinkerbell. That's right. Your dog is Daisy May.
Ellie Mae.
Ellie Mae. Yes.
But
the dog that peed on my lamp in the living room.
that's Ellie.
Yeah.
Yes. Wigglebutt. Little dog. That's my wife's little dog.
Yes.
Yeah. She goes out with us all the time. And to tell you the truth, I'm not the fisherman.
Oh.
I just as soon steer.
Yeah.
Mary Ellen does 99% of the fishing.
Really?
And she's dedicated. Ellie's happy to scale the fish once they come in.
I can do that.
And it's
My mother
a lot
taught me.
of fun.
Yeah.
But we don't come up with anything like you see in the picture that Frank was just
Yeah.
describing. The bottom fishing's kind of scarce these days.
It
The
is.
cod are kind of small. We're always after the striper.
My favorite fish, and my father was a wonderful fisherman. He would come home with buckets and buckets. I loved flounder. I just loved it. We had it all the time. So, and if he caught an eel, he would give some to Mrs. Ella Brandy.
I wonder what Frank's favorite fish is.
Yeah, what is your favorite?
After all these years dealing with fish and lobster, do you still eat seafood, Frank?
I eat seafood probably 4 times a week. I like all varieties of fish
Yeah.
and shellfish. There isn't anything that I don't like.
Yeah, see that?
Can you eat an oyster?
Can I?
Yeah.
Of course.
I just did it. For many years, I love cherry stones. So I tried my first oyster and I loved it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
If somebody would figure out how to cook one, you might convince me to
Oh, you
consume
can fry
one.
it.
Fried
Yeah.
oysters are delicious.
Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never seen them like that. I've just seen people scrape them up and gulp them down. And
Yeah.
You can go to Sandy's on the beach and get fried oysters any night you want.
I'll
Yeah.
give that a try then.
That'll be wonderful. All right, honey, what's the next one? Oh, look at that.
That was Mayflower Seafoods in the 50s when only part of the building, the section of the building out towards Water Street was the fish market, and the rest of the building was Mayflower Marine, that they sold Old Town boats, they sold at a Johnson Motor franchise, and sold all of the commercial fisherman products that were used by the fishing fleet. That I bought my first pair of hip boots in Mayflower Marine probably in 53 or 54. And they were only $9, so they've gone up a little bit.
Do you know I recognize the building even though it's changed?
Yep.
There was just there's something about it that still it holds its personality,
Yeah.
you know. But
Well,
that's on the wharf, right?
Yep.
But what I find really interesting about this picture and Frank's description
Yeah.
is I had no idea that Manomet's boundaries extended to Mayflower Seafoods, and that now this has actually become also part of downtown Plymouth. So I guess we could call this North Manomet,
Yes.
and dear to Frank's heart. Any place
Funny.
you can buy
You would
boots is
have to
good.
point that out, Mr.
Yeah.
Randall.
Oh no, that's all right. This is all good fun. Love it.
Oh, there it is.
Oh yeah, that was Frank's first boat.
Is the little man in there?
Yep. He's
Yeah.
back by the outboard motor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
These are just some pictures that I had that Karen's husband Kenny picked up the photographs. It's a busy time of year for me. I hadn't put my photographs together in any kind of a cohesive manner, so you get kind of a scrambling of photographs,
It's all right, Frank.
associated with the ocean and fishing. But
Well, you're forgiven,
some
Frank.
were from, as Randy says, from North Manomet.
Well,
North Manomet.
it's all good fun.
Jill Howland.
And that was, I believe, Gordon Howland's first truck.
Look at that truck. Oh, my God.
Is that a refrigerated unit? Or
No,
they just use
no.
ice back then?
Just used ice. Yep.
Oh, Lord.
What's that boom on the top?
I think they were parked in front of the bait house that used to be around back of Gordon Howland's, and I think it
Oh,
just
yeah.
coincidentally
Looks like that. Yeah. Now, where is that? Oh,
and that was the construction of Mayflower Seafoods in the late 40s, early 50s.
wow. Wow.
This is one of my favorite pictures.
I know this one.
This is a photograph of the beach down on Manomet Point. This was taken August 25th, 1898. This is a surf boat being launched. They used to call the lot where the roadway is down to the beach on Manomet Point.
Yeah.
There used to be a lot to the right where there is now a house. They always called it the boathouse lot
Yes.
because the actual boathouse for the life-saving service station was on that lot. And this is one of the life-saving service boats being launched. And the caption on the back of it is George Holmes, and the back of the surf boat had a derby on, and they were going out to assist the capsized sailboat. And it was I think it was a Sunday, so there's quite a crowd on the beach. But the interesting part is looking up towards Manomet. There's no houses on the water side of the road. I can recognize the houses that are there, but the point was a relatively open area in the late 1800s. But
There's
that's
nothing
an
there.
interesting photograph for
Two
me.
houses.
So, Frank, this is like standing on Whitehorse Beach, where the dunes are, and the most
Yeah.
people still congregate these days,
Yeah.
looking at the point and the life-saving station.
Yep,
Yep.
So that's Whitehorse Beach proper.
yep,
Was
they
it
they wore a lot more clothes back then, didn't they?
they did.
Was this in the winter?
That's why they died early. I
That was
mean,
August 25th.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. They had so much underwear on. I mean, they just keeled over.
Well, the water is cold in this part of the country.
Now, was that always called Point Road?
To the best of my knowledge.
Yeah.
Yep. It was always called Manomet Point Road.
Manomet Point Road. Yeah.
There's another little wider angle
I like
photograph
that.
of the point.
I
and-
like that picture.
Yeah.
And I know there was a time that Taylor Avenue did not go all the way through.
Taylor Avenue went to the Herring Stream, and then a street that I don't believe had a name came from Point Road down to the Herring Stream.
Wow.
But
I didn't realize that.
There was no bridge.
you'll see
at
one of the
South Oakland.
photographs I brought will show you the bridge that was over it in 1890.
Yeah. You think we should fix it?
No, it looked pretty serviceable, but it wasn't designed for
Yeah.
automobile traffic.
Yeah.
Well, next time around, I know there's an old map, I think is an 1874 atlas that shows the stream, the Herring Run,
Yeah.
and the Whitehorse Beach section almost coming to the point, and it's labeled Whale Hole. As a matter of fact, I think the map is in the right by the Mayflower Room in Town Hall.
Oh, I'll take a
It's,
gander at that tomorrow night. Yeah.
I have that in my records, and we'll get it into a later presentation.
Nice.
But there's some nice old maps of Manomet we can
I
look at
love
too.
maps. I love maps. What is this? Oh, I know what that is.
That's a picture of the pier, and the boat that's in the center of the photograph was the Emerald. That was the first fishing boat that I owned. And it was an old boat when I bought it. I bought it in the early 60s from a fisherman by the name of Pete Jorgensen. And it was built in Ogley, Florida in 1927. So it was a few years old when I bought it. It had a Lathrop 4-cylinder diesel engine. And we used to catch quite a bit of fish with it.
It served you well.
It did.
And Frank, do you still fish? Do you go out
Only on somebody
anymore?
else's boat.
On somebody else's boat, yeah.
Frank, how many boats have you had?
I've had several big boats. The last boat was an offshore lobster boat that I had built in the mid-'80s. It was built by Glenn Hearn Shipbuilding in Somerset. It was a 76-foot offshore lobster boat.
Big.
121 tons, 24-foot beam.
I remember
and
that
drew,
one.
That's huge.
Drew 11 feet of water.
Wow. That was a big boat.
Yeah.
So your best guess, how many boats have you had since you got here on Avenue A, B, or C?
Yeah.
Probably 4.
Is that all?
That's all.
Wow.
Yeah.
You keep your boats a long time?
I do.
Yeah, they served him well.
Yeah.
You know. So, okay, honey, what do we have?
Supplies.
That's a picture in the window of
Mayflower.
Of Mayflower Marine.
You really like that place, huh, Frank?
Yes, I did. Love old pictures of the waterfront and so forth.
Yeah. Okay. Next one. Oh, I love
All right.
it.
Is that the lobster pound?
Well, that's a picture of Point Road, roughly 1930 or 31, and there was so much erosion in the far left of the picture. You can see some stones and some of the equipment that were used. I have more photographs, and they aren't in this batch of the steam shovel that was down on the beach that was building the riprap to slow the erosion. And on the right-hand side in the distance, you can see the tower of the Coast Guard station.
Yeah.
And right in the center of the picture where that was a piece of property that was owned by the Arnolds. All of Manomet Point was part of the Arnold tract. And that's where I started in the seafood business with Bill Callahan. And
Wow.
the building wasn't much bigger than that when we started. And the current lobster pound that's on the point, we tore the old building down and we built a new building in 1976.
Now, keep that photo up. I am mesmerized by that photo. I would love a painting of that, you know, in color or something. That is fantastic. Now,
The house that sticks out on the right-hand side is the house I live in today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought so. Now they built up the cliff because it doesn't look like that now.
They built there's a stone riprap and seawall at the bottom that they partially backfilled, but at the moment the erosion on Point Road is a lot worse than is visible from the top. That if you walk over to the edge right in that area, you'll see that the erosion is so bad it's close to undermining the road.
What are you going to do, Frank? I mean, are you afraid of falling in? I mean, is
Not going to fall in tonight.
no,
Not yet.
no, Frank. I'd be worried.
That's probably why you don't live on the point.
Yeah. Erosion is a perpetual problem.
Oh, I know. It's just awful.
Back then it was from global cooling.
Oh.
But, you know, it's interesting to see the picture because you'd never know.
I love that picture.
Unless Frank told us that there's a problem under there.
Yep.
And that's it's very interesting to me because there are certainly ramifications. You think about all the houses that are built along the coastline, and if we could go back and do it over again, it would be kind of cool if any of the roads adjacent to the coast all had the houses landward, so it was ultimately always the government's responsibility to protect the road. But we were never that smart. We all want to be right on the edge. And it costs a lot of money to live on the edge.
Do you assess that cliff every time there's a huge storm? Do you see more and more?
That the bluff is pretty stable in a lot of areas, but there are areas that, for a variety of reasons, sometimes it's surface water running off over the edge of the bluff. Sometimes it's drains that have failed that cause erosion, but we did a lot of stone work towards the end of the point where the lobster pound is. We did
Yes,
$50,000 worth of stone work after the blizzard of '78.
Yeah.
We took advantage of a low-interest government loan, and we stabilized the bank, and we haven't had a problem there as of yet. But around the other side of the point, the southeast side of the point, there's an area there where there's a catch basin that used to drain into a pipe that drained down on the rocks.
I think I've seen that.
Has failed,
Yeah.
and now it's eroded the banking fairly severely in that area.
I'd hate to lose, I mean, it's historic. The first time I came to White Horse Beach, I was about 5. And it was a fun-filled day, and I always remembered the beach. And came back with my husband because he summited on the Cape, and relatives were in Plymouth, so we were familiar with the area. And I just think that White Horse Beach is one of the jewels in many different ways. I think it's even better than Long Beach.
Well, I guess I have a question for Frank. Manomet Point Road comes up to the lobster pound, but the public layout actually stops short of where you work. And when people come up and they take that loop around and they park and they go over and they look at different stuff, that is not technically public property.
So that's when they laid out, when the county took land to straighten out Manomet Point Road, they took a lot of land by eminent domain. But at that point, the Coast Guard station was on Manomet Point. They had a breeches buoy station tower behind where the lobster pound is now, and the county couldn't proceed against the federal government to take that land. So the land behind the lobster pound and on the ocean side of the lobster pound is private, and it isn't either a town or county road. The town is good enough to plow it for us, but the town doesn't maintain that road.
Frank, who owns the drain that's failed? Who's
Technically, the town owns it, but it's on our property.
That's going to be interesting
Easement.
to fix.
Easement.
Going to be,
Interesting to fix.
yep.
Well, can we fix it?
Of course, we can fix anything.
Can fix anything if you're willing to spend the money.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk to David.
Well, he'll find some way to avoid a point source discharge. On to the next one.
Oh, look at that old photo.
This, to the best of my knowledge, is the only photograph of the lifeboat that capsized and drowned the surfmen when the Robert E. Lee went aground on the
Yeah.
Marianne Rocks.
Yeah.
This is down in Randy's neck of the woods. That's the backside of Stage Point. You can see to the right the photograph. But the surfboat actually capsized when it was coming back from the Robert E. Lee. That was in February, I think, of 1928. But the Robert E. Lee, when I went aground the Marianne Rocks, it floated off on the next high tide and went on its way with minimum damage. And the surfboat that was launched from Manomet Point, it was called Life-Saving Station number 31. And it was launched and safely went out to the boat, to the Robert E. Lee, found that they didn't need assistance. And when they came back, when they're quite close to shore, a wave picked up the stern, and the boat, actually, the bow dug in, and the boat pitch-poled and drowned 3 of the surfmen. But this is where the boat wound up on the beach. It's got a couple of kids looking in it, and people gathered around it. But that's the ill-fated surfboat.
And they probably froze to death, too. I mean, that was February.
It was cold, cold water.
Yeah. Oh, God, love them.
Well, you know, it makes sense, but I had no idea that the surfboat ended up on Manomet Beach. That's very, very close to where my house is.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to look at the picture. These days, you can see the outlines of houses nearly perched on the edge of the bluff, 30, 40 feet away. And in this picture, there really aren't any of the dwellings evident. But to look at this and think of a ship hitting the Mariannes and then the northeast surf and the storm surge bringing that boat in
That must
to the
have
middle
been
of our
awful.
beach
Yeah.
is just phenomenal. And certainly a Manomet native that I work with, Carl Anderson, his father, Russell, was involved with this. And I think it was the Carnegie Medal of Honor.
Yeah, Carnegie Life Saving
Is
Medal.
that what that was awarded him for that?
Well, that must have been a big event
It was.
for the state.
Yeah.
For the nation, maybe
Wow.
even something like that happening.
Great picture, Frank. Let's do another one.
Yeah.
Kenny's a little slow, isn't
Well,
he?
he hits it. It has to come up.
It regenerates.
Yeah. Oh, we're back. Is that it?
Oh, that's all right. We can talk about. Oh, look at this
All right.
one. Whoa.
This is the first U.S. life-saving service station on the point. The building still exists. All the architectural details are still apparent. And George Holmes is in this picture. And he's bearded. I think he's on the right-hand side. But that shows some of the life-saving equipment that they stored in the station. The second floor was where the life-saving service men slept. Most of them lived in Plymouth. Some of them lived in Sandwich. That George Holmes, who I refer to in a lot of these pictures, lived at 226 Sandwich Street. And he would come to Manomet when he was on duty. And usually they were on duty for 2 or 3 days steady, and then they'd be off for a few days. But this life-saving station still exists, and you can see all of the architectural details
Where
on
is
it.
that,
Tell us
Frank?
exactly where this is.
I think it's
it
Hilltop by Hillside Avenue, the easternmost road up to where the old hotel is. It was now goes up to where the condos are.
Oh,
And it's the second house on the left-hand side.
Oh, Highland Terrace.
Kenny, we're
Highland
going to have
Terrace.
to go see that.
I'll be darned.
Highland Terrace.
And once you see the house, you will immediately recognize it. It's changed a little bit, but all of the architectural details are there.
Wow.
Now, what is that? English, Dutch, German? It looks.
No, it's called an 1874 T-type station. It was a standard design that the Coast Guard had.
Wow.
And stations similar to this were built on both coasts.
And they had the Widow's Walk. They had a fireplace.
Yep.
It's absolutely beautiful.
It's
the front door's not
gorgeous.
that big anymore, though.
Gorgeous.
No, it's smaller.
Yes.
We're going to
That's too
have
cool.
to check that out.
Wow.
And I probably driven by it and just. Is it set back? Is it tree?
It's set back a little bit from the road, but quite visible. But if you hadn't seen these pictures, you would never know
Yeah, what it was.
Yeah.
Oh my good, that's a beautiful piece of architecture.
It's
I think
historic.
there may be another photograph of it
Yeah.
a little closer.
It's gorgeous. We have about 6 more.
All right, you've talked about the bridge over the herring stream.
Yeah.
This is October 1890, and that is the bridge over the herring stream.
No, sir.
Yes.
So which way are we looking, Frank?
I would say that we're looking from the south side over the stream, looking north. There were very few cottages down there, but there was a pedestrian bridge across the stream, and Taylor Avenue came from where the beachway was, so the access on that end down and dead-ended here, and a road came from Manomet Point Road, and we're on the Manomet Point Road side of this. And
it's all greenery, and it looks wider, and both sides now are sand.
Yeah, both sides now are sand.
Yeah.
But it was more of the exit of a marsh than it was a stream the way you think of it now. But that was the bridge.
But they didn't drive cars over that, did they?
No.
That looked like a pedestrian.
There was a pedestrian
access.
walkway. The bridge across the stream that we're familiar with now was built in 1921.
Is that a light? No, that couldn't be a light pole. What is that?
I don't know. Might be just a tree bent over.
Oh, maybe it's a marking on the thing.
Yep.
But that is very interesting. Wow.
People had to get across the stream without getting their feet wet.
Yeah. How different does that look today?
Yep.
Wow. How did all that sand get there?
Well, I think the sand was always there. It was
Import,
just, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a good deal of filled land that has been built on Whitehorse Beach. Also.
Yeah. It's a sin the houses are too close.
Whoa.
Look at that fish.
That's the same George Holmes, and this was October 1898, and on the back of the photograph it says fish taken 35, and there's some pretty good sized codfish in this, and that's the boat that he caught the fish with.
It's a little boat.
It was probably 16-foot dory, rowed out, fished. When he had as many fish as he wanted, he rowed back in with the fish.
Frank, did they grow them bigger then, or just the catch is not as large?
That as codfish were overfished, the general size of them diminished. When I had one of the earlier pictures, it showed a dragger that I had in 1963, and we used to fish well to the north of Plymouth, sometimes up close to Boston Harbor. And there were a couple of rock piles there that we'd steam up to the rock pile, and with your hands on the towing wires, you'd feel that they called them doors, or the otter boards that would keep the net spread. They had iron shoes on the bottom. When you feel the doors start to hit a rock pile, we turn and steam out of there. But the codfish are right on the edge of the rock pile. And they were big enough that they were called stakers. You cut the head off, and we would have either 3 or 4 fish that were headed and gutted that would fill 125-pound box.
Absolutely.
So even a little over 50 years ago, there were plenty of big fish around.
Yeah.
But it's very rare to get codfish inshore that go over 7 or 8 pounds. But the world record for a codfish was caught in Massachusetts, and it was over 200 pounds.
That's unbelievable.
Granddaddy of them all.
George Holmes must have been one hell of a rower.
Well, he had to be.
Man, to bring that sort of fish back to shore,
Yeah.
a whole boatload of it.
Yeah.
We would dream of that these days.
No, he must have been quite a man.
Well, the Holmes presence in Manomet, I mean, George apparently lived on Sandwich Street, but there is a beautiful maroon home on Stage Point Road, I think where the Carvalhos live now.
Yes.
That I think was the original home of Cromwell Holmes. And then we had Horace Holmes next to him, his son William, the grandson Billy. The Holmes have been
So that's what they did, didn't they? They had whole families, which I like that concept. The mother and father, the children grow up, have a house over here and another one over there. I like that compound type of thing, but freer than that. But I like the family like that all around.
I really enjoy when I'm surveying in the Manomet area, taking the titles back and looking at the people behind the land and the Holmeses, the Bartletts. We're just so predominant, proliferate in Manomet. And it was just such a great thing to see Emmy Holmes, the Cranberry Bogs,
Yeah.
and the old farm over to what we've always known as the MBO, and to have that preserved as it was, is just a super thing. But I have to say, there are a lot of homes in Manomet and in Plymouth, and I reckon they come over on the Mayflower, about as native to Plymouth as you get. And I don't know that I've ever met a homes that I didn't like. There aren't any bad homes. There's just some better than others.
We knew a
they're
few ourselves.
Nice family.
And a very nice family. I don't know if they're all related, but there were a lot of them. There are a lot of them.
Yeah.
And, sometimes the children go off, but this is where their heart is.
I would think so.
Yep.
I bought lobsters from 3 generations of Holmeses.
Did you?
Still
Yeah.
have.
Wow.
Still do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do we have more photos, dear? Of course, he says. Oh, look at that. What is that?
All right.
Wow.
I know
That's a
what
picture
that
of-
is.
What I still refer to as Emerson's and the bowling alley beyond
Yeah. Emerson's was there, I think, when we moved here.
it. Yeah.
But it looks just the same.
Yeah. Look
That-
at that.
How old is that picture?
That's probably from the 40s. But there used to be an old hotel. Everybody called it the White Horse Hotel. That was a little further towards the water. And the real name of it was the Crescent Hotel. And in the lower portion of the Crescent Hotel was a grocery store. And it was an IGA grocery store. And it was run by the woman we called Ma Emerson.
Yeah.
And she eventually took over this store, which was also called, because of her, it was called Emerson. But before that, it was Crescent Groceries. And the next building beyond, there were 2 doors, the door in the corner and a door in a little to the right of it. But it was a bowling alley. I think there were 10 bowling alleys that went in the back, where the parking lot for the post office is. And in the front of the building were 4 pool tables. And they used to have a time stamp on the counter. And if you, I think it was 25 cents an hour for the pool tables.
I bet they were busy, Frank.
They were, especially on a rainy day. It was a great
Yeah.
place for kids to go.
Oh,
But that was owned by Hike Melkonian's mother and father.
oh,
Really?
Armenian like
Yep.
me.
Wow.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Was that a dirt road?
Yep, dirt road that runs down and back.
Yeah.
It still is.
Ran down on the right-hand side was Skipper Smith's dad's house, West Smith. And I can't remember who was on the left-hand side, but behind Emerson's for many years were a set of big wheels that they used to use to pull the boats up off the beach.
Oh.
And they eventually fell apart there.
Yeah.
So, Frank, that bowling alley,
Yep,
were those big balls or little balls?
little balls.
They were
Little.
little balls.
Yeah.
They
Like
would have to be little.
candlestick bowling?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, and I think about a bowling alley being there. It was gone when I got here. But when I did get here, we had the post office there, and then there was Emerson's, and then there was, you rounded the corner, there was Santora's
Oh,
that
yes.
had the subs.
Yep.
The Beachway.
Yep.
That became the Full Sail.
The Full Sail.
That was a lot of fun. And you could go down, headed south on Taylor Avenue, the White Sands, the Mayflower Beach Lodge.
Now, where was the place where they had the dances? Dick Silver used to come to
Keller's Playland was
White
the same
Horse
as the
Beach
Sands.
to
Yeah.
the hotel, he would say, and they would dance.
I don't remember.
Was it up on the hill where the condos are now?
Yeah, there was a hotel there, but I never remember dances at the hotel.
Yeah,
I do remember dances at Keller's Playland, and they would have a 10-piece band and have big signs that said no dancing on Sunday, and they'd have state cops there directing traffic, and those dancing on Sunday. But
Yeah.
a lot of times that we had a relatively small cottage. My grandfather built a cottage in Abington Avenue in 1948, and my brother and I slept out on the porch. And a lot of the nights we'd go to sleep listening to the music from Keller's Playland, from the
how
bands
nice.
that played outside.
But it's changed so much.
Yep.
From the time that I got here. It really was pretty much a party place. And as each of those establishments closed, it has now become entirely residential. And there's certainly nothing amiss with that. It's just changing times, and it's so different because there was an air back there almost of, at that time, of, a little Nantasket beach.
Which
sort of
I
thing.
loved, by the way.
People had a good time, and there was a lot of tolerance.
My father loved Revere Beach. My mother loved Nantasket. They didn't come to the Cape. Kenny's the one who introduced me to Plymouth and the Cape.
We used to sail from bar to bar to bar to bar. It was okay.
That sounds like fun.
But the Santora sub shop, before it was a sub shop, it was a soda shop. It was Wilson's, and I can't remember what it was before that. But originally, when we talked about Keller's Playland, it was Keller's father that had Keller's Bakery on that location.
Oh, nice.
So
it sounds like
originally
it was
a
a
bakery.
really nice village,
Yeah.
happiness beach area.
And there were a couple of other stores. There was a Capeway there, where now there's that's what it was called when I got here. There was a motel. Now where this other store was is Mariners Row Condominium. What about the Franny Kuhn owns a building that's presently closed. The last I remember being in it was the Mermaid Cafe.
Oh, yeah.
And a beach store.
It hasn't been
Originally, it
open.
was Louis Aducci's Market, and we were trying. Peter Geller and I were trying to think of the name of the market. I think it was Mayflower Market, and he can't remember. But Louis Aducci was the
I
man
love
that
that
ran it
name.
for many, many years, and he sold wonderful hamburg that he would grind right in the store.
It's like
But
Perry's.
another little interesting, just by the herring stream, that before Churchill's built their new building, Churchill's Oil, they had a little small building that was
I remember it.
it was moved there in probably the late 50s, and it came from a cement pad right by the herring stream, and it was Danforth's Bakery. And they used to, yeah, it was just a distribution point. They would bake everything in Plymouth at the main store and bring it down there, and that was a sales store in the summertime.
Nice.
Yep.
Oh, that sounds so nice. You had a lot there.
Well, it must be how they got their own zip code. White Horse Beach was its own little commerce, its own little
02381.
village. 02381, yeah.
Oh, honey, can we have the
It was
next
great.
one?
Still is.
That another photograph of Emerson's that for many years the post office was in Emerson's, and it took a little conflict that took the post office out of Emerson's and next door into what
No
we call the
kidding.
bowling alley. That it was Mrs. Emerson's daughter that was the postmistress.
Oh,
And probably in the 70s, Sarah Nagel, was a tireless worker for the Democratic Party in this area. And she eventually was made the postmistress of the post office that was in Emerson's store. So the Emersons kicked the post office out, and it had to go next door, and that's how it wound up in the bowling alley.
Oh, I get it.
That's all she wrote for the bowling alley.
And that's back
We've
to
seen
that
that
other
one.
picture.
Yeah, that's still one of my favorite pictures.
Yeah.
I wonder if we have just a moment to talk about.
This one's
ahead.
different.
Yeah, we haven't seen this one yet. This is a picture of the life-saving service station. George Holmes is towards the right with a beard, but most of the pictures, I believe they were probably taken on weekends, and there's always quite a few young ladies in the pictures, so I assume
Hey,
that the attraction the Coast Guard
Yeah.
had then is similar to what it has
it
now.
has today.
Well, given the number of Holmeses around, those must have been his wives.
Oh, look at
And
that.
that's a picture of the one of the surf boats either being launched or coming in, but none of them had engines. There was a Coast Guard boat in Sandwich at the Sandwich station, and that had an engine, but all of the surf boats were powered by oars, and there were usually 6 men and a coxswain in the boat, and they would row out and do whatever was necessary.
They had to be in great shape.
Yeah.
What did the
Well-
coxswain do?
He told the other guys what to do.
That would be my job.
Yeah.
You didn't have to row?
Another
That's a
photograph
nice
of that.
photo.
Yeah.
Oh, we only have 2 minutes? 3 minutes. I like that photo too.
Look at the wheels.
Oh, Frank, you've got to come back, Randy, and you got to bring Peter. And you,
Whoa.
This is a picture
that.
taken down on the rocks at Manomet Point.
oh
And
my goodness.
looking up, you can see the Coast Guard station. There's several other buildings. That's Captain Slade's house on the left. He was a retired Coast Guardsman.
Is that George Holmes standing there?
No, that is...
I can't believe you know.
no, I do know, and I have to think. And it eludes me at the moment.
That's okay.
What's this?
That's
Oh,
a-
is that Woods?
No, yeah, that is Woods, and that's a picture of when they were rip-wrapping the shore along where Mayflower Seafoods
Sure.
was,
Yeah.
and they're starting to straighten that area out.
Which they'll be doing again.
Yeah.
They'll be doing that again. Any more, honey? 2 more, let's go.
The Mayflower
Oh.
Hotel.
This is, this is a brochure for the Mayflower Hotel, and the nice part of it, which we can't see at the moment, is if you open it up, it's a broad picture of the whole area, and it shows the golf course and looking down to where the swimming pool was.
Now, listen to me, boys. Thank you so much for coming. You're coming back, right?
Of course.
With Peter Geller.
We'll send Peter in my stead.
Yeah.
Peter, you're coming with me. Are you here?
Or else.
Now, next week is the Three Amigos. I hope you tune in. And the week after that, I'll be on with David Gould in the Natural Resources Department. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you in 14, but Talking Town will see you in 7.